Our project is focused in the Watsonville area on Mbabaram Country. We have worked alongside the Mbabaram community to help preserve and celebrate their culture through the documentation of culturally significant flora and fauna in the Watsonville area. The Mbabaram people have lived sustainably on these lands for tens of thousands of years, using flora and fauna for many different purposes while also stewarding of their land and country. They are intentional about not exploiting their resources through overuse or excessive hunting. Not having a record of written language, this important information was passed from generation to generation through oral tradition and other physical mediums, like storytelling and dance. However, as time has gone on, environmental degradation and European invasion has had drastic effects on Mbabaram people, destroying and displacing culture, language, and identity. Along with many other Indigenous Australians, the Mbabaram people lost so much of their land and culture due to European settlement and industrialization. This prevented the inheritance of cultural information between generations. Now only around 300 words in the Mbabaram language are documented, and much of their cultural knowledge has disappeared as well.
So in this research, we intended to gather as much information about Mbabaram culture as possible while it is still around and accessible today. To document this information, we created a comprehensive ethnobiological field guide detailing the cultural significance and the utilisation of flora and fauna within the Watsonville area. We also worked collaboratively with Rainforest to Bush to curate educational signage for selected culturally significant plants along their bushwalk at the Watsonville camp. So both the field guide and educational signage detail the Mbabaram traditional names, uses and significance of flora and fauna found in Watsonville.
So Rainforest to Bush, it's a family business. So Rainforest to Bush, we basically do cultural tours, educational tours, and we use our tours as a means to preserve our culture and teach it to our young ones, but also to teach it to the rest of the world.
We conducted a series of ethnobotanical floral surveys around Watsonville Camp with CRS Center Director and botanist David Ting. We tagged and recorded the GPS locations of every culturally significant species of flora along the Watsonville bushwalk. We also took many samples from these species to present to the Mbabaram elders in our interviews. Peer researchers collected extensive information about fauna at Watsonville to supplement our findings. We conducted interviews with Mbabaram elders to determine the cultural significance and uses for all the plants we identified at Watsonville.
For the grass tree, for the cultural uses is we use the stem as spear shafts. We can also use the large seed head at the top as a fire stick, carrying fire around bush when we do our cultural burning. And then the trunk itself, we get the resin or the sap that leaks out of the trunk, heat it up and mix it with charcoal to make a strong glue for manufacturing tools and weapons.
They can use the leaves and that for making, skirts and things out of it, probably for dancing, ceremony dancing. They're long and spindly, and you probably see and heard of some of the little Zulu dolls they used to make before, way back in the early days, and they used to. So what they did is cut it all and then tied it and string with vine and string it around, and they use it for skirts. So this is the debung. If you can pull off the small young leaves, we usually just break it up and put it in a saucepan or a little pot, billy, and put it on the fire and boil it. Bring it to boil and then 10 to 15 minutes simmer. When it's simmer, you can let it cool a little bit and then drink it while it's warm or cold. And it has a nice flavour. It's a tint of a bit of green in it, like green tea. And it's antioxidant, good for you.
From our research, we curated a comprehensive field guide and educational bushwalk signage that can be utilized by Indigenous rangers for relearning and celebrating Mbabaram culture. From our interviews with the Mbabaram elders and our biocultural work surveying at Watsonville, we were able to form a comprehensive list of flora and faunal species and their specific cultural uses in Mbabaram culture. We gained so much information about the different uses of individual plants and animals, such as bush food, medicine, technology, art, and their spiritual significance.
Totem animals are they're kind of just animals that you have a spiritual connection to. Different groups can have individual totems for each person. Then you can have a family totem, you can have a clan totem, you can have a totem for your tribe or your nation. For the Mbabaram people, it's the dove.
During our research, we documented the apparent loss of Mbabaram language while cultural uses and traditional knowledge have seemed to be retained much more between generations. Only 7 words remain in the Mbabaram language describing flora found at Watsonville, while the amount of knowledge and cultural use is more than 3 times higher. This is likely because of the residual impacts of colonization, as well as the fact that the Mbabaram language is linguistically distinct, and those who speak it and understand it are only those with an Mbabaram culture. Cultural knowledge is likely retained because experiences are practiced and remembered through collective knowledge, while the Mbabaram language has become isolated and lost as a result. It was inspiring to learn about the different ways that the Mbabaram people steward their land. There is so much that we can learn from the Mbabaram people about how to interact with the environment. We are so thankful for the opportunity that we have contributed our research to the preservation and celebration of Mbabaram culture.
I'm patent because of the bush feed. No one else can take it from me. So it's in our bloodline.